Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Abshir Hassan and I am a certified coach from the Aware Academy. This is an academy that deals with pornography, its harms, and offers ways and solutions, counseling, mentoring, etc. You may be able to find them at Facebook at Aware Academy Global. And my name is Abshir, as I've said, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about why you need to start talking to your children about the harms of porn viewing. I am a parent myself, and I believe that education and prevention is better than cure. So if you're like me, you may have been very oblivious to this topic as to how widespread it is and how much harm it is causing to society. And you may be someone like me saying, oh, I keep a close eye on my children. They are very young. I don't need to tackle this topic. But I just want you to be aware that there are many areas and places that this can seep in. It can come through social media. The child may, most children, I would assume, don't have social media. It could be, on your own social media. It could be from, older relatives. It can be from movies, magazines. It could be from television. Late night TV used to be one big one for ridiculous advertising when I was growing up. It could be from advertisements. I've seen a few on YouTube in between, like when you're watching a show and it comes in between and it's very inappropriate. And again, things like big billboards or when you go to the shops, you see those major blown out, advertising for underwear and things like that. These things create the images in a child that nudity is a normality. And so, as an adult who has children, who wants to create that safe haven, you need to have a way where you can communicate to your children to be able to avoid this becoming normal for them. And inshallah, I will share that strategy towards the end. So if they have access to any devices that has any internet, or if anywhere they go to someone else's house, relatives, friends, and they have devices, children will most likely come across pornography to some extent. So children will always be naturally curious. Some children will be shocked, will walk away and will speak to you. Some children will not. And that accidental viewing can sometimes take on what we call an addiction or a curiosity to find out more, to learn more. And in that curiousness, in that learning more, it's an addiction. Talking to your children has been proven to have many, many benefits. The problem with porn is that the minute those images are viewed, it offloads a large amount of dopamine dump into the brain. And dopamine is the same chemical that gets released when someone is in the height of pleasure. It could be, eating a big burger and you're enjoying that, or anything that really gives you a lot of pleasure. And so once that image is no longer being viewed, once you are no longer there, just the thought of that pleasurable state you were in when you were viewing it creates a craving. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied now. And that craving gets you to go back. And sometimes, yes, it can begin from just being curious, but you think you are curious, you have that dopamine dump, then that creates a cycle of addiction for the child. So I just wanted to point out a story from Brother Wail's Aware book that I've read, which I highly recommend for all parents or anybody who wants to get educated on this topic. And the story, saddened me to some extent, because Well, Josh was a typical teenager at 17, and he had a steady girlfriend for 2 years, as the story goes. And on their first encounter of what was supposed to be intimate, he went on to beat her, choke her, and she was, taken to the hospital bleeding profusely. And what stood out to me was the fact that Josh started consuming pornographic content at the age of 9 years old. And now he was 17. So he had all of these years of consuming this content, thinking that it was normal. It was teaching him about what he needed to do when he was with women, and it was way off. And it's very dangerous. It's very scary to think that there are, that many boys out there watching this, thinking that this is the way to be and to act. What the addiction and the problems that come with it is, it's all over the internet. You can go and read and watch videos, but just to touch on just a few points on it, it creates a sort of, a mental stagnation. The person cannot learn, they cannot concentrate, and they just cannot be a full functioning human. So they cannot concentrate on tasks or studies. They begin developing mental health problems. They begin to separate sex from love. They begin to view women as objects. It creates this distorted view that women are supposed to be airbrush perfect, and they are never satisfied in any type of, relationship that they're in, because they're always comparing the woman that they see on the screen to the real woman that is in front of them. It consumes a large chunk of the person's time, so their productivity is hindered. It's very secretive. It's very shameful to the person, and these people develop very, very low self-esteem over time. And it also normalizes sexual harm, such as the story that I've just told you about Josh. And the scariest point for me that I will most likely be talking to my children about such thing is because child-on-child abuse is most common type of abuse. When children go and see this content, you imagine, for example, a 10-year-old who has consumed this content even over a year or 2 years, who now is left in the company of your child, and your child suffers, an abuse or of some sort, because the 10-year-old is simply curious and they are wondering, and what is it? And so the easiest target is someone else. It's another child around you. And do not be, like me, very, very oblivious to the idea that porn addicted children do exist. And so it is upon us as, as older adults, as parents, as teachers, as the more responsible person, to be able to tackle this topic, to learn for ourselves in order to equip our children with what it is that they need to know to function within this porn-driven society. The hardest thing about, tackling this topic within your household and within your family is starting that first conversation is probably the hardest thing to do. And where I would begin personally is making sure that I have open discussions with my children, making sure that there is nothing that is off topic. You are able to use your parental wisdom to gauge where your children are at with such topics. If you are someone who has not spoken to their children about their own bodies and what body part is where, and you probably want to begin there. Teach them about themselves, teach them about their bodies, the correct anatomical names for their body parts. You may want to start talking to them about, sex and what is sex. And then gradually you will speak to them about this topic. But I warn you not to wait too long, because you don't want other things to get in there, such as you don't want them to discover something or to learn about it from their peers or anything like that. Don't wait too long. But I do feel that it is a gradual discussion. It starts from when they're very young, talking about the right anatomical names for their body parts, about what sex is, and then one day you can say, let's talk about this topic, or have you heard about this? What do you know? And it is a open conversation that is extended over periods of time. But however, if you do have children the age of 9, 10, 11, 12, it is a critical age where you need to tackle this topic, I believe. So when you want to discuss this topic of pornography specifically, you would automatically be in two categories. Either your children have seen it already or they have not seen it. If you're in the unfortunate category where they have seen it, it's okay. You just need to keep calm. You need to basically investigate. What is it that you have seen? Where have you seen it? Be very careful to manage your own emotions, whether you are upset or feeling disappointed in yourself, or whatever it is that you're feeling, manage that. Don't scold them. Don't start taking away devices as a form of prevention or punishment, but do start the conversation as well. Do investigation and let them know that whatever they have seen, you are ready to speak to them about it, you are ready to discuss, and you're ready to find out the extent of what it is that they have seen. You'd also want to know, do they actually go looking for it themselves? If they have not seen, and you've got children who are very young, for example, my children, it's still 4 and a little bit older, fall in the category of just kind of teaching them about their body parts, and obviously being very careful that they don't view any content that gets in there and teaches them before I do. You'd want to start instilling filters into devices. You would want to teach them this technique, which is turn, run, and tell. So if they ever come across an image, what happens is it burns into their psyche, it burns into their memory. And instead of turning away and walking away, most children would look at it and they've got, this memory or this image in their mind for so long. And so a book that I started reading with my 7-year-old daughter is a book by, her name is Kristen Jensen, and it's called, this book, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, speaks of, what good pictures are. Photos of family, photos of buildings, photos of, memories, photos of grandparents, things like that. Whereas bad pictures are those ones that, violate the rules of what it is that one is allowed to see. So in this book, it says one is not allowed to look at a picture that shows more than your bather's cover. So for us as Muslims, we do have the rules of awra as to which body parts should be covered. So for boys, for example, nothing below the navel and nothing above the knees. And you may want to instill that into your children when you are teaching them yourself. So when you have this discussion with the children, what you also need to keep in mind is that, you may even be someone who is viewing pornography and consuming it yourself. It happens. SubhanAllah, we are not all perfect angels. So what you need to do is you need to go and seek out help for yourself. It is amazing the amount of times that children will come across this content because a parent or an older person has forgotten to put it away, or they think they're hiding it well, but it comes out eventually. And so this may be the time for you to think, okay, I need to go seek some help. Thank you for your time and take care, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.